The art of self-care, thriving in a world that never sleeps welcome, dreamers, doers, and go-getters. I'm thrilled to have you join me today on the BlackCEO Podcast. We're about to embark on a journey that might just change the way you think about success, balance, and most importantly, yourself. Now, before we dive in, I want to give a special shout out to the incredible individual who inspired today's talk, LaRonee Boards, also known as DJ Snacks. LaRonee isn't just a rising star in the entertainment industry. She's a beacon of wisdom when it comes to self-care and determination. Her music moves bodies, but her message, well, that moves souls. She's not just changing the game, she's rewriting the rules, showing us all how to thrive in a world that never seems to slow down. So buckle up, folks. We're about to challenge everything you thought you knew about success and well-being. Are you ready? Let's go. Picture this. It's 3 a.m. You're hunched over your laptop, eyes burning, back aching, downing your fifth cup of coffee. You're chasing that deadline, that promotion, that next big break. Sound familiar? Now, let me ask you this. Is this really what success looks like? For too long, we've bought into this idea that success means grinding yourself down to the bone, sacrificing everything, including your well-being, on the altar of achievement. But what if I told you that this isn't just wrong, it's counterproductive? LaRonee shared a powerful mantra with me that really struck a chord. Stay committed to the process, not the outcome. Now, I know what you're thinking, but isn't the outcome what matters? Well, let me tell you a little secret. When you obsess over outcomes, you lose sight of the journey. And more importantly, you lose sight of yourself. But don't worry, LaRonee isn't advocating for a life of all work and no play. In fact, she balances that first mantra with another equally important one. Work hard, play harder. It's all about finding that sweet spot between dedication and enjoyment, between pushing yourself and nurturing yourself. Now let's break this down into 3 key areas that LaRonee emphasized: prioritizing self-care, balancing determination with well-being, and implementing practical self-care strategies. First up, prioritizing self-care. I can almost hear some of you groaning. Self-care, that's just a fancy term for being lazy, right? Wrong. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the foundation upon which all your success is built. Think about it this way. Would you expect a car to run without fuel? Of course not. So why do we expect our bodies and minds to perform at their peak without proper care and maintenance? It's time we start treating self-care not as an indulgence, but as an essential part of our success strategy. Let me share a startling statistic with you. According to a study by the CDC, 1 in 3 adults doesn't get enough sleep each night. 1 in 3. And we're not talking about college students pulling all-nighters here. We're talking about working adults, entrepreneurs, people just like you and me. Now, you might be thinking, so what? I can function on less sleep. But here's the kicker. You might be functioning, but are you thriving? Are you performing at your best? The same study shows that lack of sleep is linked to decreased productivity, impaired decision-making, and increased risk of chronic health conditions. Let me paint you a picture. Meet Sarah, a high-flying executive who prided herself on her 80-hour work week and her ability to function on 4 hours of sleep. She was crushing it at work, or so she thought, but then came the mistakes. Small at first, a misplaced decimal here, a forgotten meeting there, then bigger ones, a botched presentation to the board, a major client loss due to a careless error. Sarah was forced to face a hard truth. Her lack of sleep wasn't just affecting her health, it was sabotaging her success. She decided to make a change. She established a regular sleep schedule, aiming for 7 hours of sleep per night. The result? Within a month, her productivity soared. Her creativity flourished. She was making better decisions, faster. And the kicker, she was actually getting more done in less time. This isn't just about sleep, though. It's about recognizing that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's about setting boundaries, making time for activities that bring you joy and relaxation, and focusing on your mental and physical health. Which brings us to our second key point, balancing determination with well-being. LaRonee's mantra of stay committed to the process, not the outcome, is crucial here. Too often we get so fixated on our goals that we forget to enjoy the journey. We push ourselves to the brink, thinking that's what it takes to succeed. But here's a revolutionary idea. What if the path to success isn't about grinding yourself down, but about building yourself up? What if instead of sacrificing your well-being for success, you could enhance your success by prioritizing your well-being? Let me share an example from LaRonee's experience. As a DJ and upcoming media personality, she faces immense pressure to constantly be on, to always be creating, performing, networking. It would be easy to fall into the trap of working around the clock, sacrificing sleep, exercise, and personal time in the pursuit of success. But LaRonee takes a different approach. She understands that her creativity, her energy, her very essence as an artist and entertainer stems from her well-being. So she makes time to play, to relax, to recharge. She stays committed to the process of nurturing herself, knowing that the outcomes, success, recognition, fulfillment, will follow naturally. This isn't just feel-good advice. It's backed by science. Studies have shown that regular breaks in leisure activities can actually increase productivity and creativity. When we allow ourselves time to relax and recharge, we come back to our work with fresh perspectives and renewed energy. But I know what you're thinking. That sounds great in theory, but how do I actually do it? Well, that brings us to our third key point: practical self-care strategies. LaRonee shared some actionable tips that can be integrated into even the busiest lifestyles. Let's start with the power of setting boundaries. In today's always on, always connected world, it's more important than ever to protect your time and energy. An article by Rosanna emphasized the importance of learning to say no to protect personal time and energy. This can be particularly challenging for entrepreneurs and ambitious professionals who often feel the need to seize every opportunity. But here's the truth: saying yes to everything means saying no to yourself. Let me introduce you to Mark, a startup founder who was burning the candle at both ends. He said yes to every meeting, every networking event, every late night work session. He thought he was maximizing his opportunities, but in reality, he was spreading himself too thin. One day, exhausted and on the verge of burnout, Mark decided to try something radical. He started saying no. He set clear boundaries around his work hours. He declined non-essential meetings. He carved out time for himself and his family. The result? His productivity skyrocketed. The quality of his work improved. And perhaps most surprisingly, his business relationships strengthened. People respected his boundaries and valued his time more. By saying no to the non-essentials, Mark was able to say a bigger yes to what truly mattered. Another practical strategy LaRonee swears by is regular exercise. Now, before you groan and reach for another cup of coffee, hear me out. We're not talking about becoming a gym rat or training for a marathon here. We're talking about incorporating movement into your daily routine in a way that works for you. An article by National Business highlights the importance of regular exercise for entrepreneurs, emphasizing its role in reducing stress and improving mental health. This could be as simple as taking short walks during your lunch break, doing some light yoga at your desk, or dancing to your favorite song between tasks. Take Emily, for example. As a freelance graphic designer, she spent hours hunched over her computer. She was constantly battling headaches, back pain, and a general sense of lethargy. On a whim, she decided to try a 10-minute dance break every couple of hours. The change was remarkable. Not only did her physical discomfort decrease, but she found herself more energized, more creative, and more productive. Those 10-minute breaks weren't lost time. They were investments that paid off in increased focus and efficiency. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't have time for all this self-care stuff. I'm too busy hustling and grinding, But here's the thing. Self-care isn't something you do instead of your work. It's something you do to enhance your work. Think about it this way. When you're on an airplane, what does the flight attendant always say? In case of an emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. Why? Because if you run out of oxygen, you can't help anyone else. The same principle applies to self-care. If you burn out, if you run yourself into the ground, you won't be able to achieve your goals or help others. So, what do I want you to do differently after hearing this? I want you to start prioritizing your self-care. Start small if you need to. Set a regular bedtime and stick to it for a week. Take a 10-minute walk every day. Learn to say no to one non-essential commitment this week. These might seem like small steps, but they can lead to big changes. Remember, it's not about dramatic overhauls or extreme measures. It's about consistent, sustainable changes that you can maintain over time. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to understand that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. I want you to feel inspired to make positive changes in your life, to find that balance between determination and well-being that LaRonee talked about. Imagine a version of yourself that's not just successful, but also well-rested, energized, and truly enjoying the journey. That version of you isn't just a dream. It's entirely within your reach. All it takes is a shift in perspective and a commitment to prioritizing your well-being. So let me leave you with this thought. Success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. And who do you want to become? Someone who's burned out, stressed, and disconnected from the joy of life, or someone who's thriving, energized, and making the positive impact on the world? The choice is yours, and it starts with how you treat yourself today, tomorrow, and every day after that. As LaRonee would say, stay committed to the process, not the outcome. And in this case, the process is taking care of yourself, nurturing your well-being, and finding that balance between hard work and joyful living. So, here's my challenge to you. For the next week, I want you to prioritize your self-care like your success depends on it, because it does. Get those 7 hours of sleep. Take those short breaks. Set those boundaries. And at the end of the week, take stock. How do you feel? How's your productivity, your creativity, your relationships? I bet you'll be surprised by the results. And who knows, you might just find that by taking care of yourself, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the world. Because when you're at your best, you have so much more to give. Remember, your creativity is waiting to be awakened. Your potential is waiting to be unleashed. And it all starts with taking care of yourself. Stand in that truth, embrace it, and watch as you begin to shine brightly in your corner of the world. You have the power to redefine what success looks like. You have the ability to work hard and play harder. You have the right to prioritize your well-being. So go out there and do it. The world is waiting for the best version of you. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Now go forth, take care of yourself, and conquer your world, one self-care act at a time. The revolution starts with you. Are you ready?